Hi everyone, Jon Zuzga with ZUMA Concepts. Today I'm bringing you another video on Ravin Crossbow, and this is kind of a tuning tip. It's how to adjust for cam lean and how to identify your cam lean, as well as how to measure for your cam lean. I looked at this a bunch of different ways. I looked at testing, the compression rate, because I saw that some guys tested the compression of those two cables on either side of the cam. And I really found the best way to do it is to look at the orientation of the cam as it pertains to the spacing above, between the top cable and the cam and between the bottom cable and the cam. And I'm going to walk you through in this video how to measure for that and then how to make the adjustment to correct it. So let's jump in. All right, so we're looking straight at the bow here. We're looking directly at one cam, and you eyeball your main string to look like it's centered in your cable. And then we're looking at the orientation of the top cable to the top of the cam and the bottom cable to the bottom of the cam. And we're going to measure that gap. And you can visibly see in this, if you look closely, you can see the bottom has a larger gap than the top. And we're going to measure this with a calipers, and I'll show you how to do that. As you can see in this picture, you're going to want to take your caliper and you're measuring with the back side of the caliper. You're going to open up your caliper mouth, and then you're going to press this part down. It's the way you measure the depth with the calipers. And you'll see in this picture, you're going to want to be consistent with where you use the caliper. So if you're going to use the front edge of the cam, use the front edge of the cam on the top and the bottom. If you're going to use the back edge of the cam, use the back edge of the cam, top and bottom. And you have to do this because the cable's moving up and away on an angle, and if you do the back of the cam on the top and the front of the cam on the bottom, you're going to get a measurement discrepancy. So as you can see here, I'm going to measure at the back of the cam, and you're going to want to press down on these calipers nice and easy, because if you push too hard, you're going to move that string and it's going to change your measurement. We're not looking to be incredibly precise here. I know I'm using calipers. It's just an easy tool to use for this, but you're really focused in on the hundredths, not the thousandths. The thousandths will give you some information, but you can move that string thousandths by pushing. So you're going to be looking at that 17 versus the 13, and you're going to try to get those to be as close as possible. I mean, you're looking for 0.15, 0.15 on both sides, and then you have a nice balanced string. So as you can see here, this one is off. I'm at 0.12, 0.13 on the top side, and I'm at 0.17, 0.18 on the bottom side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the vise, tighten this down, and I'm going to remove the top cable. The top cable is the cable that is too close to the cam, and by tightening the cable, it's actually going to pull or torque the cam and tip that inner part of the cam away from the cable. What I'm showing you here is I remove the inner part of the cable on the back, and you have to hold that in place, not to let the orientation of that slip away. And then you're going to remove this top one or the back one where there's exposed strands, and that's the part that you're going to rotate. I use a piece of steel. In this case, it's just a drill bit, and I put it through there to make sure that these strands don't get tangled and miscombobbled. And then I used it, did about 1.5 rotations, flexed it a little bit because that stuff gets quite stiff, and then I brought it back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool out carefully, then I'm going to push those strands back over top. And you can see in the back, I had the back hooked up so that it wouldn't lose orientation. Now I'm disconnecting the back, and I'm going to reconnect the front. And once I get that secured, then I go back up there, and I'm going to reinstall that into the cable. It should have been a little bit more difficult to put on than it was to take off. Then I take everything out, and I'm going to do a final measurement here. And we are at 0.158 on the top side and we are at 0.155 on the bottom side. And we're going to jump to the last view here where you can see now, looking at that looks a lot more evenly spaced between the cam and cables. This is how the timing ended up after we adjusted just one cable on one side. We were way off on that side and off slightly on this side. So like I said, as a critical note, the way to address this is whatever you do on one side of the bow, regardless of it just being one top cable in this situation, the other side was already good and measured out fine, so you need to adjust both the top and bottom cables on the opposing side to adjust for that distance you just changed. And once you do that, you also have to adjust your string so that it's shorter. You have to twist it and add twists so that it's shorter, and that will bring your timing back to center so that everything will be accurate again. Make sure that you pay attention to that detail. Now, as you can see here, my timing dots are still centered because I made that adjustment on the opposing side and tightened the string as well. Guys, there it is. Not a whole lot to it. Pretty simple video, pretty basic. But hopefully these tips are able to help you guys out in dialing them bows in and getting them shots out to long range as accurate as you'd like to see them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, guys. Have a good one.